What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today I'm going to show you how to rack mount your Pre-70V. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is how you can mount the Pre-70V into a rack unit. The first thing we'll want to do for this setup is attach the included rack ears here and the handles for the rack ears. That way we have an easier time mounting the unit into our rack. So we'll start with one rack ear at a time. If we look at the side here, you'll see these three smaller holes here. And if you look on each side of the preamp, you'll see these matching holes. You're also going to want to take the screws that came included to attach the rack ears to the preamp, and you're going to want to look for these screws with the round heads on them. So you're going to line up the holes on your rack ears to the holes here on the side of your preamp. Line up these screws through these holes and use a screwdriver to secure the ears onto the preamp. And now after you have the ears attached, you can attach the handles by using the flathead screws here. First, you'll take the handle and line up the holes here on the ends of the handles to the top and bottom holes here on the rack ears. Line up the flathead screws to these holes and use a screwdriver to secure them onto the rack ears. You can also attach the handles on the ears first and then mount the ears to the preamp using the same steps that I mentioned before. So after we've done that with the first rack ear and the first handle, we're going to repeat this process to attach our second ear and handle to the other side of the preamp. So now that we've got the rack ears attached to the preamp, let's go ahead and fit it onto our rack. So here I have the rack unit that I'll be setting the preamp up to today, and as you can see, I already mounted the amplifier that goes with my preamp for a nice organized setup. So what we're going to do is place the preamp right under the amplifier, and we've left just enough space to do so. Speaking of spacing, it's important to note that the preamp requires a 2U spacing in any rack unit, but you'll notice that the screw holes here on the rack ears are positioned differently. So while it does require the 2U spacing, the alignment is more of a 1U spacing. So just keep that in mind when mounting it into your rack. So to count the appropriate spacing within your rack, you just want to take a look at the holes here along each side. And to count 1U, you actually want to count 3 of them together. So every 3 rows would count as 1U. So again, because the preamp takes up a 2U spacing, we're going to count down here, 1, 2, 3. That would be 1U right there. And then to count 2U, you actually want to leave just 1 space in between and then count another 3 after that. And there you have the 2U spacing. So we can use the handles here on the front of our rack ears to guide the preamp into the spacing in our rack. And once it's placed securely inside of the rack, we're going to want to make sure to use M6 screws and M6 nuts to secure the preamp into the rack. And just like that, we have our preamp all set up to our rack unit here, and we still have access to the back to connect it to our amplifier for power, to set up our 70-volt speakers, music sources, etc. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to rack mount your Pre-70V. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.